This episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by All Star Vacation Homes, and there's no better choice for anyone who's looking for a lot of great amenities with not a lot of cost than All Star Vacation Homes. They've got lots of places to choose from, lots of amenities to choose from, and the best part about it, again, is that price. That's right, you're not going to be paying a lot to stay at an All Star Vacation Home. Check them out right now at www.allstarvacationhomes.com. It's Friday, May 13th, 2011, and this is episode 876 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hochberg of StudioCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
Today, our search for understanding is unbounded by space and time.
It kind of sounded like Reagan at first, and then turned into Walter Cronkite. Spaceship Earth.
Walter Cronkite's Spaceship Earth.
That's right. Oh, exactly. Also joining us on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Man, we need to get Sarah on the phone and change All-Star Vacation Home to All-Star Wars Vacation Home.
Ah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta tell her enough of these princess themed rooms, which they do have. We need Star Wars themed rooms.
Yeah.
And a man who would probably fight us for those Star Wars themed rooms, assuming there were no Denver Broncos themed rooms available, is Glenn Sonoda, a contributor at times to StudioCentral.com, and all-around good guy. Welcome back to the show, Glenn.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
And because we've brought Glenn on, no, it's not a trap. We are bringing Glenn on to talk about Star Wars weekends.
Woo.
And I'm sure we'll be talking Star Tours as well, but, that comes with the territory.
What's that?
And Star Wars Weekends begins this coming Friday. That's right. It's going to be May 20th to 22nd, and then proceeds the next 3 weekends after that. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday event. And this is an event that has been going on for many, many years. And Glenn and I have been going for... Glenn, how many years have we been going now?
2008 was the first time I went, and I've been to every single weekend since.
I was there in 2008.
I remember 05 and Newell. When have you started going to Star Wars weekends?
I believe 08 was my first year, too.
Oh, okay. So definitely a lot of time spent in the parks, and as much as I said, I've been going longer than Glenn, let me tell you something. Glenn eats and breathes Star Wars weekends. The man is there. When he goes to Star Wars weekends, it's not for a couple hours. I mean, he's there. He gets there at 4 or 5 a.m. Stays the entire day. Well, sort of. And then he'll do like the whole every day, every weekend. So when we're talking about Star Wars weekends, and I mentioned the dates earlier. A lot of people ask you. The most common question I think we get, Glenn, is I'm going to Star Wars weekends. It's my first time. What do I need to know? So if you're someone who's never been to Star Wars weekends before, Glenn, what is your best advice to them?
My best advice is probably to say that you can't do everything in one day, and I think that's true, especially this year with Star Tours 2 opening. With Star Tours 2, you have a lot more to do on the old agenda. You have celebrities, you have the shows, you have, of course, Star Tours. There's just a lot to do, and you really shouldn't feel compelled to do it all in one day.
That's right. And now, Newell, you're the complete opposite of Glenn. Whereas Glenn comes and does everything, you're a more casual fan of Star Wars weekends, meaning, you'll go to the parks, obviously, but, you're going to take it from a more casual standpoint. You're just there to kind of take it all in and kind of enjoy the atmosphere, if you will. So if you're someone who's maybe identifying more closely with you, Mike, what would be your advice to someone who's going to Star Wars weekends?
Well, I think casual is not quite the word I would use. I mean, out of the four of us, I was probably the only one that saw the first film in the theater.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have a choice in that. It's not like we chose to be born after the films came out.
I'm just showing my allegiance to George Lucas, and I'm sure Mike Scopa didn't go, even though he was here. I'm sure he didn't. He didn't care about Star Wars, but I was there, and I saw the first one in the theater. Had to be 50 times, and I'm not even exaggerating, because back then you could stay in the theater all day. You didn't have to leave. So
1977.
And I probably have every copy on every part of the film on VHS, on Betamax, on Laserdisc,
including the Christmas special.
Oh,
8-track.
I can bring that down with me next week. Don't laugh, Scope. I do have the soundtrack on 8-track. I had Star Wars bed sheets, Star Wars curtains in my room.
I still have Star Wars bed sheets.
See? So yeah, but I'm not as crazy about and maybe crazy is not the proper word, but I'm not as not that's not even the proper word. I'm more choosy of the events that I go to.
Okay.
Where I'm not really into the celebrities as much. I'm more into the behind the scenes storylines things than I am and of course the merchandising than I am of meeting certain celebrities. Like I probably wouldn't wait in line to get somebody's autograph unless it was somebody from the first three. Right. But the newer ones I'm not really, not that I'm not a fan, it's just I don't I'm not that crazy about waiting in line for somebody.
I mean, Glenn is into the autographs quite a bit. I mean, it's not my cup of tea either, and frankly I'm kind of happy I don't like it because the lines for that are probably the worst in terms of the celebrity lines, right, Glenn?
It's you get, even when I get there at 5, it's especially if someone more popular, let's say a Ray Park. Yeah, it's the line goes from the turnstile sometimes out the security gate, like toward the boat launch to Epcot. So yeah, it's pretty long.
Yeah.
Now, Glenn, let's talk about 2011 because this year there's quite a bit of changes that are coming around to Star Wars weekends. You mentioned Star Tours, which is opening. Obviously, that's the biggie. And but you know what? That's kind of like outside of the realm of Star Wars weekends because they're doing a lot of new things this year for just the event. Even if you just discount the whole Star Tours things, what are some things that you've picked up on that they're changing this year?
Well, probably with the host James Arnold Taylor, who does the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi on the Clone Wars. He's doing it's really interesting. He's doing like a 30-minute show.
Yep.
And I really can't tell what it's about. It seems like it's going to be maybe his comedy stand-up routine where he does like voices of all different characters. I really don't know how they're going to fit that into the whole Star Wars theme.
Well, didn't we see that last year or 2 years ago when we were watching him and he did the Michael J. Fox Back to the Future?
Yes, that's right.
And he's very talented, so
it was
I can
amusing.
See him doing that.
Yeah. And anything
also,
that's, especially in June or in late May, anything that's indoors is worth catching because it's so
favorite
hot.
Events indoors.
That's
exactly.
right, air conditioning.
Yeah.
Also new for 2011, Glenn, is the fact that they're going to be adding. They've already added. In fact, I saw it today. A stage in front of the Sorcerer's Hat.
Ooh.
And can you tell us a little bit about the events that'll be happening over there?
Well, traditionally, like my favorite event of Star Wars, one of my favorite events of Star Wars weekends, it's the Hyperspace Hoopla. And it's the way that they end the day, and they have the characters, like Chewbacca, Queen Amidala, Princess Leia, Luke. They come and they do dance routines in like a competition form. And previously they held it by the Jedi Training Academy stage, which becomes a huge mess of people, and you can't really see or enjoy it very well. Well, hopefully now that it's in the stage in the front of the park by the hat, it's an elevated stage, so people will be able to see it more, people will be able to enjoy it. And let me tell you, if you haven't been to Hyperspace Hoopla, you must go because it's just goofy fun.
I'm not a fan of that. As an old purist, I'm not a fan of that.
Oh, I love it. I think it's hilarious.
Silly. It's a little silly. I mean, to have Darth Vader up on stage doing YMCA, I mean, I don't know. They should be separate. They should be the evil side and evil stage and the rebel stage. I mean, it shouldn't be together dancing like that. I'm just not a fan of it.
I enjoy it quite. I think it's quite funny, and it's a great thing to wrap up the day. The other thing they're doing at the stage is they're going to be doing. They're going to be having a dedication ceremony for Star Tours. That's where it's going to be, and that's going to allow the most amount of people to see it. And if you're saying it's kind of weird, Matt, that they're going to be holding the dedication not in front of the attraction,
that's kind of weird.
It's funny you should mention that because you may remember. Actually, I think you were there, Mike. We watched the. Remember when Toy Story Midway Mania opened?
Yes.
They did the same exact thing. They had the whole shebang in front of the Sorcerer's Hat, and then we were escorted to the attraction. So
right.
I guess Disney's done it before.
Yeah, it's probably the best place that everyone can gather for a large presentation. So they're going to probably start there and then walk us over to Star Tours.
And the other big change that they're doing this year is the footprint of Star Wars Weekends is going to be a lot larger. Previously, it's been kind of contained to the Star Tours area and then extending back to like Streets of America and like the back. I never really ever went on Hollywood or Sunset Boulevards, but we already mentioned the stage on Hollywood Boulevard. And on Sunset Boulevard, we're going to see characters now. And they're going to open up that area behind Rock and Roller Coaster. There's a huge tent that's being put on there. Emphasis on huge. It is humongous.
Yeah.
And they're going to be putting the merchandise in there. Now, Glenn, when we're talking about Star Wars merchandise, give our listeners who maybe have never seen this before, what exactly we're talking about when we say Star Wars merchandise.
Well, it's interesting. The Star Wars merchandise has a lot of Disney flares to it. Like in previous years, they don't really do it anymore now, but they do. They've done Star Wars big figs, where let's say one of the Mickey Mouse is like Anakin is dressed as Anakin Skywalker, and he's holding a lightsaber. It's all of the most of the merchandise, I guess I should say, has a Star Wars and Disney theme to them, and there's limited edition merchandise like pins, coins, and they have just the regular merchandise like shirts and cups and that sort of thing. So it's really a combination of Star Wars and Disney merchandise.
Yeah, I mean, there's something for everyone there, really. I mean, there's a lot of nice little trinkets. Like and I still have on my desk at work. I have a couple of Star Wars figurines. They're Disney figurines as Star Wars characters, I should say. So you can pick up those don't cost more than a few dollars, and you've got nice sketches like Glenn mentioned. You've got really, if you want to go crazy, I mean, you can go and buy thousands of dollars worth of exclusive limited edition merchandise. It really depends on how passionate you are and what your needs are. The other thing to keep in mind, and looking at our emails that we've been getting from a lot of our listeners, and a lot of people have been emailing and say, guys, what are the crowds like? Because that's a lot of people concerns about it. People are looking at the crowds for Star Wars weekends, and they're torn about what to do in terms of what the numbers say and what they're expecting. So, when you're talking about how crowded it is, I mean, the crowd. I'll give you an example. The touringplans.com crowd calendar predicts for the first weekend, May 20th to 22nd. It's Fridays at 5, Saturdays at 5, Sundays at 6, and the following weekend, which is the 27th, 28th, 29th, is an 8, an 8, and an 8. And then June, you've got, let's see here, 4, 5, and 5. So, I mean, the crowd levels there's difference. There's what the wait times will be at the attractions and what the crowds will be like at the parks. And Glenn, maybe you can talk a little bit about that, about like the difference between like the wait times for, like, say, Tower of Terror and the sheer amount of people in the park.
Yeah, it's really interesting because when you get to the park early in the morning to wait in whatever respective line you want to, it's already pretty crowded. However, the majority of people that go to Disney's Hollywood Studios on during Star Wars weekends, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday that they hold it, the majority of them usually don't do Star Wars weekends things. So you will see the usual wait time for Toy Story Midway Mania or Rock and Roller Coaster or Tower of Terror, because most people just, first of all, they probably don't even know that it's going on, and the people that are there for Star Wars Weekends events, it's a fraction. It's maybe, I don't know, I probably can guess, maybe 15-20% of the people there are actually there for Star Wars Weekends events, I would say.
And if they put some of those events in like the Big Ten and the other, they're probably not gonna be as bad. You probably won't. I mean, you'll see them, but they probably won't be interfering in the rides and everything as right. much as you. Now you mentioned the 27th to the 28th. That's Memorial Day weekend, so that's going to be high to begin with, higher than regular. But I think, if you're going there for non-Star Wars events, I think it'd be just an average wait time.
Yeah, the only real wild card here is going to be Friday, May 20th, which is next Friday. And the reason for that is that's when the official grand opening of Star Tours 2, Star Tours: The Adventures Continue, I should say. And that attraction is slated to open that day. And that's going to, I mean, from what we've heard from rumors and hearsay and speculation, is that Disney is planning for a lot of people in that park, because there's going to be a dedication ceremony at about 10:15 a.m. that morning. There's going to be media there to cover that, and of course, WWT will be providing live coverage of that as well. And there's going to be, we're hearing names like George Lucas could be there. There's going to be obviously a lot of Disney brass over there. It's going to be a big to-do, to say the least. So that day is probably going to be the biggest issue in terms of crowds, because you're going to see, I mean, we've heard that due to a number of reasons that the line for Star Tours could extend for many hours, and they've got allegedly plans for the line to extend throughout the park and even back out of the park if it's that bad. Frankly, I don't think it's going to be that bad. But that being said, the 20th is going to be a very busy day. because of Star Tours and the combination of Star Wars, the launch of Star Wars weekends. And it's going to be very interesting to see that. And, you know, if you're going to be able to swing by there, I mean, I think it's one of those experiences that, I mean, we're going to be there. So I think it's going to be kind of fun to kind of be in the middle of all of that. But other than that, I mean, really, it starts, you know, it does level itself out a little bit. And like Glenn said, a lot of people there, but not everyone there is for Star Wars weekend stuff and vice versa. So, you know, it's not going to be, you know, even though you might experience more people overall in the park, it doesn't necessarily translate out to longer lines in on attractions. So Glenn, real quick here with Star Wars weekends, we kind of covered the very, very basics of this. I mean, you mentioned, you know, something at the beginning of the show. What you think was your best tip. I mean, what are some other tips that we can give to our listeners to how to best experience Star Wars weekends? You mentioned already, you know, don't try to cram it into one day, which is great advice because they make it for 3 days each weekend for a reason. Right. If you can do 2, great. If you can do 3, even better. You'll make it so much easier on yourself. But what are some other advice? I mean, what happened? Like, here's a great example, Glenn. I've got my son or daughter. They would like to be able to do something there. What can my kids do with Star Wars weekends?
Well, they actually have a great parade that they do. They have the 501st Legion and the Rebel Legion come out, and they do a Star Wars themed parade with the celebrities that week. And what you do with your kids is you go. In the past couple of years, it's been over by Sounds Dangerous, the information booth where you sign up. But you take your kid there when the park opens. You don't do anything else. Just go straight to that kiosk there in front of Sounds Dangerous and sign your kids up. What they'll do is they'll give your kid a Jedi robe, you know, yep. Jedi Mickey robe, and then a lightsaber, and then they'll be part of the parade. It's a very we've had friends who had their children in it, and it's very fun. It's a very cool experience, definitely.
Another cool experience is Jedi Training Academy changes a little bit. Usually you just fight the kids fight Darth Vader, but because of the extra crowds, they'll add actually a second tier to it, and some kids will fight Darth Vader, and some kids can fight. I've seen Darth Maul, and I've seen her name is Asajj Ventress. Is that right?
Yep, Asajj Ventress.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So either of those characters may be there as well, and that's kind of a cool opportunity to be able to fight those. Either of those characters, if your kids are of that age, and that's like I believe the ages recommended are 4 to 12, would make sense for that. And I mean, there's a lot of different events. I mean, Newell mentioned the indoor events. I really like the shows that kind of give you a glimpse behind, even if you don't like care. Like a good example is like the Clone Wars. There's a lot of Clone Wars stuff. Frankly, I don't really care. I don't watch the Clone Wars. But that being said, it's still kind of interesting to go see because they really put on a really good show.
Right. Yeah. And Clone Wars is getting into its 4th season next year, and yeah, it looks so they'll have like behind the scenes coverage, and they even go on the soundstage and they'll interview people like tape segments and whatnot. It's interesting even if you don't like Clone Wars, just for a Star Wars fan in general.
All right, Glenn, let's wrap this up on this. Your top 3 events or top 3 things at Star Wars Weekends not to miss. Go.
This year, Star Tours. Number 1, number 2, Hyperspace Hoopla, and number 3, James Arnold Taylor's 30-minute show. It's something different. I think it'll be good.
Cool. What about you? What's your top 3 favorite things to do at Star Wars Weekends?
Star Tours obviously is number 1. I'm going to agree with Len on his number 3, the 30-minute show, and the merchandise tent or the merchandise areas is a must see for any Star Wars fan.
Absolutely.
And hopefully maybe they'll have the R2-D2 LCD projector on sale this year.
Oh, man, that'd be awesome. Want to mention, of course, that, you know, if you're saying, oh, man, I'd love to be there for Star Wars Weekends, but, you know, it's not going to happen this year. Or maybe I'm going in weekend 2, 3, 4. I can't make one, regardless of what your excuse may be. You know what? The best part is we've got you covered because we're going to have a lot of Star Tours and Star Wars Weekends coverage. We've got Star Wars Weekends coverage. You can look no further than Studio Central. We're going to have tweets, updates, everything you're going to need to know about Star Wars Weekends. But for Star Tours and a lot of other coverage that's going on, and we've actually got a lot of different things going on, we'll have WDW Today will be tweeting a lot of information about Star Tours, as well as our partner at StarTours2Live.com, and you'll be able to check Twitter for that. And we're also, Newell, you're launching something a little interesting for Star Wars Weekends this year.
That's right, Matt. We're launching Rebel Radio, which is going to be Star Wars themed programming and music, and we're going to be all our live events that we're going to we are broadcasting will also air on that, and that's on the Radio 1X feed at MouseWorldRadio.com. So you can tune into it there or on any mobile app that picks up Mousewell Radio. And tune in, you'll hear us. We'll be talking about what's going on, just all kinds of live events. And, follow us on Twitter at WDW Today Podcast and at Mousewell Radio. Whenever we decide to go live, we're going to tweet it out first. So hook us up and follow us throughout the week. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we got a lot of different events that are going on even through before that begins. So yeah, we'll have a lot of fun stuff. And while we're plugging things, our next live show is on Sunday, May 22nd. So that'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. More details for that, WDWtoday.com. Very cool. Glenn, thank you so much for helping us out.
Oh, glad to be a part of it.
Thanks, Glenn.
That'll do it for us. Don't forget, this episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by All Star Vacation Homes. And after a long day at Star Wars weekends, it's hot, it's crowded. Nothing beats going back to your own All-Star Vacation home, relaxing in your own private pool. Or maybe you're going to go to the movie theater that's in your All-Star Vacation home and watch Star Wars. We've done that before.
We have.
Yeah.
We did.
It's a lot of fun. So these are some of the typical amenities you have at an All-Star Vacation home. So check them out right now at allstarvacationhomes.com. If you want to find all their episodes, read or send us your comments, you can visit us online at WDWtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, Mike Newell, and Glenn Sedota, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show. That's no moon.
That's a space station.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.